Hello everybody, welcome to the Ignite channel, and today we are going to learn about the cell, the basic component. We are made up of cells, so many cells, uncountable, isn't it? So we are going to discuss about the cell. Before that, what is a cell? It is not the battery wala cell. In human bodies, in plants, in all the living beings, there is something called cell. Now, cell can be defined as a small or basic unit of structure, and it functions the living organism. So, the cell may be defined as the smallest unit of structure and functions of a living organism. So, a cell, there are many cells which join together to become tissue. Tissue becomes organ. Organ becomes organ system. And organ system becomes us, the humans. Isn't that amazing? Now, this was the definition of the cell, that the cell may be defined as it is the smallest unit in our body, isn't it? Anything else is smaller than cell? Yes, it is. Later we'll learn it in part 2 of this video. Now in part 1, let's understand that cell is the basic unit of life. It is the smallest unit of structure and functions of the living organisms. So, to explain this, I will need to go to the part 2 wala scenario. So what happens is, cell also contains some tiny organelles which controls our living activities, bodily activities. Let it metabolic activities, chemical activities, and all that stuff. So that is handled by the cell organelles. I will go in depth in about the cell organelles as well in part 2. Now, when we are talking about cells, how was the cell discovered? Is the question arised. So, there is something called microscope. Have you all heard about? Like, you guys must have seen or heard about it. A microscope. So then, in somewhere in 1600s or 1700s, the microscope was invented by a which scientist? A Dutch scientist. So, a microscope was invented by a Dutch scientist whose name was Antony van Leeuwenhoek. Okay, so he was a Dutch scientist. He invented a microscope, and because of this invention, we could get to know about there is something that is called as cell. Okay, so how did he make this simple microscope? We don't have it in the ICSE syllabus, so let us not go to that. But he invented a simple microscope which is single biconvex, which has a single biconvex lens. Okay, and then it has of different focal lengths. In physics, you must have learned that there is a principal axis, there is principal focus, and the axis between the pole and the principal focus is focal length, isn't it? So here there are in the simple microscope of Leeuwenhoek's, he made a microscope which would have different focal lengths, and it could magnify 200 times. The simple microscope could magnify 200 times. We could magnify any object 200 times, guys. Can you believe it? But now technology has changed. Now we can even check the uh, onion cells so deeply that we can see everything in any tissue or cell, you can say. Okay, after the discovery of cell, how was the cell discovered? After the invention of microscope, how was the cell discovered? So the cell was discovered by a scientist called named Robert Hooke. So his name was Robert Hooke. So he discovered something called a cell. It was something like honeycomb. So there is a story behind it. Okay. So after the invention of the simple microscope, he modified the microscope a little bit. Okay. And then to test it, he kept a cork of Quaver's, what is it? Quercus tree. Okay, there is some tree called Quercus key. So the cork of that, the piece of the tiny lines of cork, he placed it on the plate, the palette which we use to place an object or the item to observe things, correct? So that is called palette or place. So he kept it on the plate, and then when he observed, he found out small dot structure like honeycomb, and he named those honeycombs as cells. But how did the cell word come from? Well, cell word came from a Latin word called cella. Cella means a small room. Okay, so that's how the cell was discovered, because of the invention of Antony van Leeuwenhoek and the discovery of Robert Hooke. Now, we do not have cell theory. We will directly go to protoplasm. Okay, so what is protoplasm? Anyone has any idea? Like an 8th standard, have they thought anything as such? So protoplasm is a living substance in a cell. Okay, so that is what protoplasm actually is. It is a living substance in a cell. So that is protoplasm. Now there is cytoplasm and nucleoplasm. Okay, there are other two types of plasms which make up protoplasm. So protoplasm is divided into cytoplasm and nucleoplasm. So cytoplasm is found between the cell membrane of the cell and the nucleus. So between the cell membrane and the nucleus, there is this what is it? Cytoplasm. So this is something called cytoplasm. So it is between the cell membrane and the nucleus. Remember, cytoplasm is something in between the cell membrane and the nucleus of the cell. Okay, now there is nucleoplasm. Nucleoplasm, I think it is obvious. Obvious, isn't it? Nucleoplasm, something related to nucleus. So nucleoplasm is nothing but the protoplasm existing at nucleus. So the protoplasm at nucleus is nucleoplasm, and the protoplasm between the cell membrane and the nucleus is cytoplasm. Now the term protoplasm was given by J.E. Bankerjee Skulge. So in 1861 he proposed the protoplasm doctrine, in which it stated that all living cells are made of a living substance called protoplasm, and that's how we got to know that the protoplasm is the living substance in the cell. And there are two types of protoplasms, two divisions of protoplasms, which is cytoplasm and nucleoplasm. Now, the functions of protoplasm. What does it do? It is a living substance, so it must be carrying something, right? It must be carrying some cell organelles which are living, so it carries some living substance in it. So protoplasm provides the site where all the living functions take place. So protoplasm is a site or a place where all the functions, all the life functions, living functions. There are few dead cells which do not have protoplasm. When the protoplasm is not there, the cells are dead, are considered as dead. So the protoplasm is a place of living activities to be done. Okay, and the second one is that the cells can respond to stimuli such as electric current, gravitation, heat, temperature, heat, light, chemicals, pricking, etc. Anything, because of the protoplasm, because of the presence of the protoplasm. Protoplasm is what? It is a living substance in a cell. So because of that, we are able to feel the stimuli and also are able to react because of the nervous system. Okay, now next point is cyclosis. So when we think about cyclosis, there is something called cyclone. Cyclone and cyclosis sound somewhat similar, isn't it? So cyclone is something like something is moving. So similarly, cyclosis is the streaming of the protoplasm so that there is proper division of the various materials in the cells. So as I said, there are cell organelles. So the proper division of the cell organelles will lead to the happy functioning of the cells. Okay. Now, the cells are also differentiated. So there are diversities of cells. So they are differentiated into size, shape, if they are unicellular or multicellular, isn't it? So there are two types of organisms. One is unicellular organism that carries all the functions on its own, and there is multicellular organism that needs many cells to perform one particular function of the body. Okay. Now, the cell is the basic structural, functional and biological unit of all living organisms. A cell is the smallest unit of life that can replicate independently. Now, cell shows great variety in the shape and size. As I said, not all the fingers are same, isn't it? Not all the fingers are same. All the fingers are of different length, shape, size, isn't it? So similarly, the cells are also of different size and shape. Now, let us go to the size of the cell. So when we go to the size of the size of the cell varies greatly. Usually, cells are microscopic in size, and animal cell may vary from 5 to 20 mu meter. Mu meter is like millimeter. Okay, it's like 1 mu meter is 10 to the power minus 6 meter. So imagine 5 mu meter to 20 mu meter. That is the average size of the animal cell. Okay, and then the smallest cells are bacteria or prokaryotic cells, which is like 0.2 to 0.5 mu meters. Okay, now there is another, the, the smallest cell ever. So this is mycoplasm. Mycoplasma, which is PPLO. So pleuropneumono-like organism. Its size is 0.1 mu meter. Imagine how small it can be. You obviously cannot see almost all the living organisms, tiny living organisms cannot be seen through naked eyes. They need microscope, they need special instruments to be looked into. Now, there are many reasons for its shape. Now, the shape of the cell, it varies. Why does it vary? It varies according to the function they are doing. Okay, according to the function, the size of the cell also varies. For example, let's say the nervous system, and that there are neurons. So neurons are long and thin so that they can pass the neurotransmitters easily from one neuron to another neuron. Similarly, in the pollen grain, you guys must have studied that or heard that in 8th grade. Somewhere 100 years ago, you guys must have studied about pollen grains, isn't that? Okay, now pollen grains has spiny little things, so that is also the cell, so that the insect or human being's body may get stuck, and then it might go and displacement might take place. Now that word is not coming. You guys have understood. That's enough. Okay. Now the size of the cell is small because it can travel through the cytoplasm easily. So the cells are they can travel to the capillaries easily. That's why the cells are small. Okay, learn from my mistake, guys. Everybody, here I'm here to teach, you guys are here to learn, but when I'm making mistake, learn from it. Okay, so the cells are small because first thing, it makes it easier to move from one place to another. Okay, second point, if they are large, it will be very difficult for them to move through the veins or the capillaries, isn't it? The third thing is that the cells are small so that the gases and nutrients passes uh, from the gaps easily. Okay, so these are the three reasons. Now the shape. There are two main reasons for the shape of the cells. So the shape of the cells, uh, the functions. Okay, never mind. Sorry, there are two main reasons for the size of the cells. So the size of the cells depends on have a larger surface area or volume ratio so that they can carry more amount of uh, some material or substance. Example, RBC. RBC has is very small but has large surface area so that it can carry more amount of oxygen and travel it all over our body. Okay, and then the smaller cells have high nuclear cytoplasmic ratio. That means they have better metabolic activity. Okay, next. There are two types of organisms, as I said. There are unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms. The unicellular organisms are also known as single-celled organisms. Now, for example, amoeba, paramecium, euglena, yeast, etc. are single-celled organisms. That means they have only one cell, and that one cell performs all the functions of the organism that our body cannot do. Our body is made up of very high structure and have very complicated structure, so we need more cells. So therefore we are called as multicellular organisms. It is not only us, there are plants, there are different animals, wild animals, domestic animals, name it and then you got it. So these all are multicellular organisms. Okay, now as I said, from cell, the accumulation of cell forms tissues. The tissue, then the tissue forms the accumulation of tissue forms an organ. The accumulation of organ forms an organ system, and the accumulation of the organ system makes us, the human being, a body. So, the structure of a cell is basically divided into cell membrane, cell wall, and nucleus. Okay. So cell membrane is also known as plasma membrane. Don't get confused between cell membrane, plasma membrane. They are both same names. Okay. So cell membrane is also known as plasma membrane. Don't get worried when it's asked in exam that plasma membrane, what? I studied cell membrane and not plasma membrane. No, there are two names, one meaning. Cell membrane, plasma membrane is one thing. Okay? Okay. And then now we will learn about the plasma membrane or the cell membrane. So, cell membrane is nothing but a barrier. So we need something to protect, right? There's so many germs, bacteria, viruses surrounding us. We inhale, exhale, something passes, the germs enters our nose, mouth, ears, some from anywhere. So to after they enter our body, there is cell membrane which prevent which is which acts like a barrier, between the inner surface and the outer surface. So there are 7 layers of skin. Okay, so in between the outer surface and inner surface inside it, so there is cell membrane which is a barrier for the bacteria to not enter at all. Okay, so it is like selectively permeable. That means it does not allow uh, harmful bacteria, viruses. It only allows minerals, nutrients, good bacteria, which is helpful for our body. Okay, now there are functions. So the functions of the cell membrane is that it separates the contents of the cell from the outside environment, and it regulates what enters and exits the cell. Okay, and then the cell membrane is primarily composed of protein and lipids. Lipids are the fatty substances. Okay, so cell membrane is composed of primarily two compounds, one protein, okay, and one lipids. Both contains carbon. Okay, now, and carbon is also is like gives us energy, isn't it? Okay, now the last point is that it provides this mechanical support. It provides the mechanical support. So as we have the bone and muscles for us to move around and give us support, similarly even cell needs support, which is cell membrane. Now there is difference between animal cell and plant cell. What is it? So in animal cell, the cell membrane is present. In plant cell also it's present, but the cell wall is absent in animal cell, whereas in plant cell it is present. So that is the difference between the animal cell and the plant cell. Okay, cell wall absent in animal cell, cell wall present in plant cell. So what does cell wall do? So cell wall lies under the cell membrane. Cell wall lies on the outer layer because it is freely permeable. Under that lies the cell membrane, which is semi-permeable. So in plants, the outer layer is cell wall, which is freely permeable. Under that is the cell membrane, which is selectively permeable. Okay, so this helps in the exchange of nutrients, gases, water. Okay, and there are holes over the cell walls through which cytoplasmic strands called plasmodesmata pass through and connect the adjacent cells. So because of the cell wall, it can connect through the adjacent cells. This strand is called plasmodesmata. You guys need to remember the names. I know the names are not that complicated, but it is complicated. So plasmodemata or something. What was it? Plasmodesmata. Plasmodesmata. Repeat after me. Plasmodesmata. Okay, remembered? Okay. Now it has its function. So some important function of cell wall is that cell wall gives us a definite shape and rigidity, and then protection. Then again, it separates the interior and the exterior um, material from the internal interior, and also it allows the substance only in solution form, not in hard form, hard like structure. Okay, now comes the cytoplasm. Cytoplasm, as I said, it is a protoplasm which lies between the cell wall and the nucleus, cell membrane and the nucleus. Okay, guys, learn from my mistake. Okay, peace. Now, cytoplasm is a semi-fluid gel-like substance enclosed with the cell membrane. It lies between nucleus and plasma membrane, which is nothing but cell membrane. Okay, they are using different words here like plasma membrane, cell membrane, because it will be boring if you just be saying cell membrane, cell membrane. So they are using plasma membrane here. No need to worry, that both same word, like say two words, one meaning, correct? And then so blah 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 blah. Cytoplasm is a non-living structure, remember that. And cell organelles, this is where I was heading to. So there are tiny cell organelles or cell organs like mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, vacuoles, lysosomes, then endoplasmic reticulum, chloroplast. We are going to learn about all of them in part 2 of this video. That's why I said I will not stretch the video too much. This cell organelles and nucleus part will be done in part 2 of the video. Okay. Now let's see the functions of the cytoplasm. So cytoplasm is the site of many biochemical reactions that are vital and crucial for maintaining life. So it is the site of many biochemical reactions. Imagine how important the cytoplasm must be. So the cytoplasm provides a medium for the organelles to remain suspended. They just keep moving like that, like this. So they suspend the organelles, the cell organ. Then there is cytoskeleton of the cytoplasm, which provides shape and support to the cell and also facilitates movement of the cell. Just like this, the bones. What we are is what inside us. It is a source of vital chemicals such as enzymes, vitamins, amino acids, glucose, ions, etc. So it is a source of vital chemicals such as enzymes, glucose, vitamins, amino acids, and ions. And then you can write etc. So I will show you guys one diagram. I mean two diagrams actually. Are you guys able to see this? You guys need to practice this diagram because it will come in exam for sure. So this one and this one. I know it's looking complicated. It can come in a picture question type or it may come in diagram based question, or you'll be needed to draw this pictures. So look at it carefully. Okay, you guys need to practice that diagram. Is that all right? Now we will end this video. For the next video we will do the cell organelles and what are the different types of cell organelles. Okay, we are not doing all the cell organelles. Some of the cell organelles will be done, and then the nucleus, the DNA and the cytoplasmic inclusions, and then the differences between animal cell and the plant cell, in which I have already told you the main difference, which is the cell wall and the cell membrane. Okay guys, so bye for now. Good night. I mean, this is night time, so I'm saying good night. I don't know what time you guys are seeing this video. Okay, take care, study well. I'm not going to put any pressure on you guys. Just focus on what teachers tells you and follow, like, share and subscribe. Okay, bye.